But there's definitely a joy accomplishing, finishing, which, both of us have achiever, that finishing the race and then figuring out, okay, what do we focus on now? And that's where I need strategic partners who help me think about the possibilities. And I don't need them to tell me what to do. However, I see this, I see that. So they give me a broader perspective, which does help me zoom out, as well as focus helps me zoom in.
Hello and welcome back to Coach to Coach. Today we are talking about focus. I have Brent and Kristen here with me. They are experts, not only in this strength, but in the world of strengths-based organizational development. These two are excellent, and we are in for a treat. Brent, I'm going to come to you first. If you wouldn't mind sharing your top 5, where you're coming to us from, a little bit about you, and then start us down the path of this great strength of focus.
Great to be here with you and Kristen. And number 1 for me is focus. Number 2 is individualization, so relationship building there. Number 3 is achiever. Number 4 is command. And number 5 is competition. 6 and 7, woo, communication. And of course, I'm coming from, you may hear a little Southern accent, so I'm right outside of Dallas, Texas, about an hour north, called Sherman, Texas. Good to be here.
Thanks, Brent. Kristen, want to give us your top 5, a little bit about where you're coming in from today, about yourself?
Yes. So discipline, harmony, individualization, responsibility, and focus. And I'm coming to you today from the capital of Kansas, Topeka, Kansas.
Thank you for that, Kristen. We're going to open it up now to our experts. Tell us about the strength of focus. And Brent, if you wouldn't mind jumping in first.
When I first took the Strengths Finder, aka Gallup Clifton Strengths assessment, I was somewhat surprised to see that my number 1 was labeled focus. And when I read that definition, one part of it that was new to me was can take direction, follow through, and make the corrections necessary to stay on track. I did realize I tend to prioritize, then act. So that's a part of that Gallup definition. And I think the first time that I really saw focus in myself was when I chose to quit playing football my freshman year of high school. And I totally dedicated myself and my sport to playing tennis. And that was unheard of in Texas.
Yeah, because back in the day, multi-sport was the way. And being a Texas kid, football's religion.
Yeah, it was religion. And man, I was excommunicated. Not really. My friends gave me a hard time. Like, what? You're quitting football? I was a quarterback. I was a middle linebacker. So I was very much, I loved football. But I started realizing I was never going to be big enough, strong enough to get a college scholarship, which is what my goal was, is to get a scholarship. And so I thought my best chance was tennis because my body type, my style. And so that became my relentless focus, is literally putting all of my energy, all of my efforts, all of my practice, all of my time into the one goal of, number 1, winning state in Texas, and then number 2, getting good enough to hopefully go play in a scholarship. And so fortunately, that did happen. But that's a core of my focus. And now I'm 61.
All right. So I got to say that did you win the state?
Yeah. My junior year is when Kip Humphrey and I, who now is a pilot, we still are connected. And he and I went undefeated that entire year in the state of Texas and won the doubles championship.
Wow, that's cool. So not only did you change out your religion, so to speak, for Texas, right?
Yes.
but you set a goal to make it tennis and won it, which is amazing. And you got the college scholarship. Wow, that's cool. What a great example of focus. Christian, how about you? Can you tell us about your focus and your experience with it?
Yeah, I see my focus come up in, for me, it's more of like a short-term goal or project. So if there's something I want to do and I've identified it and solidified the idea, it usually happens. So I tell people sometimes I'm afraid to share too many ideas because I usually make them happen. And that's led me down just some wild paths, been able to accomplish a lot, but it's just kind of that single-minded, you're going to do it, you put your all into it, there's no distractions, you think about how all of your different resources are aimed towards it, and you can make things happen.
I think you got to elaborate just a little bit there on when you say set your mind to things, because, you didn't win a state championship in high school, but you did something pretty cool in your 20s that is probably noteworthy. Can you share that with our listeners today?
Yes, when COVID occurred, with us in this business, in this industry, it was a lot slower, and I thought I was just a little rocked by everything that was happening and the way government was playing a role in our lives, and I decided to run for state senate. So I ran for state senate in the state of Kansas and won as the youngest woman state senator here in Kansas. And man, that summer, I was focused. We were hitting doors, we were campaigning. And that had to be a shift from what I had previously been working on, but got it done. And I think similar with some of my businesses, right? It's been an ability to really focus on what are the necessary steps to accomplish this. And being able to say no to some other things too. I do think it's a strength that helps you to sort and kind of put blinders on when you need to not be distracted.
That really resonates when you said sort, because with our focus strength, we are looking for what's significant. We are looking for what is the priority for the moment and the time. And so that means we have to let go of something typically in order to have the eye of the tiger and really put our eye onto that bullseye of where we want to go. I can remember, back to the story of tennis for a moment, is there wasn't a lot of people to practice with for me back then. And so I would go and get a ball machine and I would hit for hours, literally 8 hours a day. And what was so funny is that next door to the tennis court in our little community, there was the swimming pool. And all of my friends were like swimming in the swimming pool while I was over here on the tennis court just drilling away. And of course I would go and take a splash, here and there, but it was funny because but I was single-minded, and sometimes it was me as a single person out there. Had to have a ball machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about what you just said, Brent, and this is a question for both of you. The single-minded determination that comes with focus and seemingly an ability or just an understanding that it will require you to go alone at times. And whether, I can't say looking over at the guys in the pool that you thought, yep, look at me go hitting balls. Like, this is better in the Texas heat of a summer. I can't imagine that was your thought, but just I got to do what I have to do. So curious for both of you, just that single-minded determination that seems to come with the strength and what feels like or can look like a solitary journey for part of that opportunity.
Yeah, especially with your harmony strength, when you may want to connect with other people and find other people to go with you. Well, I have individualization number 2, and I have woo, and I also have relator in my top 10. So actually, my focus really applies to people. I've only been married one time, and now it's 41 years this year to Rhonda. And of course, we've had our challenges and ups and downs in all those years, but she is a priority. And so keeping my focus on her and even our family. But even above her is my faith, because in my spiritual life and my faith, I made an early decision also in high school. When I quit football, I also decided to quit partying and doing all of those kinds of things. And so that was a radical shift in my lifestyle. So, but I did find my tribe. I did find people who nurtured me and encouraged me. It was my group. So I've always needed and wanted, I think, partners. Instead of just groups, I like partners. Like that's why, when I talk about tennis, playing doubles is more fun to me than playing single. So having that partnership.
Nice. So I'm curious, I hear some belief in there. Is belief in the top 10, or do you think belief and focus can look similar?
It really is not as high. And so when I listen to other podcasts by Brandon and Coach to Coach, he uses this term like, hey, there's a cousin of certain themes. And I started thinking, I wonder if belief is like a cousin to focus. For me, even though it's not very high, it is where my core values and priorities are, which are very similar to belief. So a big question is, how is it different than belief, I wonder?
What if the people you coach could navigate their total health and performance with the same ease as using Google Maps? Our friends at Wellbeing at Work help organizations turn fragmented programs and frustrated employees into thriving, high-performing teams. Wellbeing at Work acts as a GPS to enable total health and peak performance, pinpointing where your people are now, where they want to go, and the best path to get there. With Wellbeing at Work, coaches become credentialed navigators with personalized insights, proven tools, and human-centered support. If you're a coach committed to performance and care, Wellbeing at Work is your path forward. Navigating at scale from burnout to breakthrough is now possible. Visit podcast.34strong.com to find a better way forward to empower a healthier, more energized workforce. Again, that's podcast.34strong.com, Wellbeing at Work.
Yeah, I'm thinking, so belief for me is like 7. And I think, both of them are determined and maybe discerning when it comes to what they think's right. Right? Here's the right path that I'm headed down. Here's the right focus. Here's the right values, and I'm going to go live it. They're both action oriented. But I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of passion as well, passion and belief. And I would say what we focus on becomes our passion. It's like everything in us, we throw towards this one thing. And it hurts sometimes when people feel like I'm disinterested in them, or that I may not include them. I think because that clarity is so strong for what I'm going after. So obviously that's a watch out for focus that I have to manage as well.
So you both share individualization with your focus. And then from there, we branch off to, Brent, you have the achiever command competition that goes along with it. And then discipline, harmony, responsibility for you, top 5. And then you go woo, communication, and then you threw relator in there. What else comes with your belief down 6 through 10, Kristen?
6 through 10, then you've got achiever in there, significance, arranger, and deliberative. So lots of executing.
So Kristen and I have significance the same in our top 10 as well. So pairing focus and significance is something I've been thinking more of lately.
I think they both prioritize, right? They're both about looking for optimum impact and then all in.
Which makes sense. You running for senator, looking at the impact that you can make. I'm curious what even triggered that thought, to become a senator.
I think I've always been involved in the community and in leadership. And I've always kind of lived by the rule, I don't want to complain about something unless I'm committed to being part of the solution. And I think there's a lot of responsibility and belief in there too. But I was not happy with how the government was responding to COVID, and especially how it was impacting small businesses. And my network, I live in the capital city, and so I have a good network of people who are involved there, and they encouraged me. And it was kind of one light after another. I was like, I think we can do this. I think we can win it and go in there and make some impact. And you get in the game of politics, if you will, and you realize from there it's to make a big impact. It's a whole nother system to figure out. And so, one could argue how much influence do you really have? But in other areas with constituents, with the everyday person, I think I was able to make a big impact, which I really enjoyed. And I just enjoyed, I don't know about you, but when I look back at sports when I was young, or things in my career, and even with family, that idea of there's something challenging in front of me and I almost don't think I can do it. And then I go and do it and prove myself wrong. And it just feels so good. I don't know if you felt that. And I think that might be some of focus, right? Is you can be like, yes, I did that really hard thing. I'm curious if that resonates with you, Brent.
But there's definitely a joy in accomplishing, finishing, which, both of us have achiever, that finishing the race and then figuring out, okay, what do we focus on now? That next thing. And that's where I need strategic partners who help me think about the possibilities. And I don't need them to tell me what to do. However, I like, oh, I see this, I see that. So they give me a broader perspective, which I'm thankful I have futuristic, which does help me zoom out as well as focus helps me zoom in. Having other people to help me look at possibilities, and then I have to make my own choice about, okay, which direction. If somebody tries to push me into something, yeah, my focus resists that. I really have to know what's the purpose. Am I in alignment with the purpose? Are my values in alignment? Is my energy, my passion in alignment? All those kind of things.
Yeah, I love it. I definitely resonate with, so no strategic thinking in the top 10, right? So doesn't mean I can't do it. It just means it's not as natural. That's what we would say. But yeah, for me, individuals who help me expand that thinking, let me look at something in a way I haven't before, that is such an invaluable partner. Totally agree with that. And then once I latch on to something I like, I go do it.
I'm curious, as you both take a look at each other's top 5, and we're seeing, I'm going to go to top 10 since you guys are so advanced. So focus achiever, very common side by side. And one of the big watch outs for achiever is that it can burn itself out. That one can run hot. It's got such an intensity to it when it gets into what it's trying to accomplish. So, more of let's complete, let's do what it takes, work hard, hustle. I've always been curious about adding focus to that. My youngest is 15. He's entering, Brent, into that high school realm now. And of my 7, probably my most driven athlete, very focused, very much. He wants that college scholarship in football, as a matter of fact. And so he's putting that work in, but I'm also learning I have to monitor his motor, because he can run it hot. He can not fully understand how he needs to regulate his body yet, what he can accomplish, but the will is there. The will is incredible. So curious with both of you, because those two seem to show up often in the same space, and they're so driven, so powerful. How have you both learned how to engage those two for maximum output, productivity, benefit?
Playfulness becomes a priority. And so for me, I had to learn, because I have hit burnout. And that's what I wrote my first book on, called Balance Matters. And so the whole focus of, okay, I have to learn how to relax. I have to learn how to recharge. And my wife helps me do that more. My friends help me do that more. And so I have to lean on other people. Funny story today. So my wife and I were doing this really intense weightlifting workout in our living room. And we had our grandkids' birthday not too long ago. And one of the birthday helium balloons was floating up in our high ceiling in our living room. And so we're on the floor and we're doing this intense workout. And finally, after, a couple of months, while we're working out, the balloon comes down and Rhonda says, "Look, the balloon is down." And she started like kicking it and playing with it, while we're doing the workout. And I had to laugh at myself because I was like, "Stay focused." And her adaptability was like, just responding to what's in the moment, having fun. And I'm like, that's what I love about her is, she helps me and others to do that.
That's ironic. I think of similar. My husband's got the positivity, the woo, and we joke that he's the fun one and I'm the serious one all the time. So for me, I think the focus and achiever, I think what helps me is looking at different seasons as being different. So right now I've got a baby and a toddler, and I just have to kind of latch on to when I'm given time during the day, I tackle it with vengeance and knock out my thing. That's when I can really kind of feed that need for accomplishment, the goals. But then the other goal is that my evening's free, so I get my work done so that I can really just like all in quality time with the kids. And even just like focusing on what do we want to do this summer? Lots of swimming or bubbles outside or, that I guess I see that family side of things as just as important of a focus, of a determination to protect that space and that time and that joy. But knowing that throughout a day, I have to have a certain amount of feeling like I'm beating that sense of accomplishment and determination towards whatever it is. And I think, again, for me, I think it's little goals or little projects that I can feel like, okay, I made some forward steps for that bigger goal today by just doing this 20-minute thing.
Yeah, as you're sharing that, I can even think of a little bit of your discipline, like putting it in your calendar for rest, for date night, for rejuvenation, and I do the same thing with I think my achiever and focus helped me to do that. In fact, here's an example of literally mapping out my week. And so the blue is actually all of that personal time. And so you can see the green is the work. That's what actually makes money. So, but I've had to learn, how to create an ideal calendar. But if I don't write it down and look at it almost daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, then I lose my focus. So I have to have systems that keep it front of mind.
I'd be curious for you both to tell me because you're both independent business owners, and that means you have to face competitors, you have to face market conditions, law of supply and demand. Kristen, I think you have 3 things going right now, or 2, or I lost count. I know there's the side hustle, the floral arrangement, amazing stuff you do, then the store, then the coaching practice. Is that yes?
And teaching jazzercise.
Yeah, and teaching, that's it. Yes, you're teaching. And then Brent, I know and Brent, you've had the books and the business and your position and strengths and all the work you've done. So talk to our listeners today about the advantages of focus. How is this a competitive advantage? How does this strength allow you to enjoy the success you both have achieved, and how it helps you sustain that in terms of all the best parts of this particular strength?
I think grit is one. Research shows that when you have laser like focus towards something, that you begin to build grit, and so you can handle the discouragement. You can handle, in fact, you almost plow through all of the rejections, the no's, the discouragement when you have a proposal and you didn't win. that proposal, it gives you a little thick skin. I think having focus, like I'm not giving up, there's a resolution. That's why I call mine the eye of the tiger. It's like I don't give up until I find a way to get to that. That's one thing for me. How about for you, Kristen?
Yeah, I enjoy hearing the words that came to my mind, and you somewhat mentioned them, was just the laser-like focus. So being able to cut through the distraction, the noise, the things that really going to get you there. And then the determination, almost just kind of sheer willpower of determination of I'm going to do this. And yeah, that's exciting, right? That feeling of being so determined about something. So I think that's where the edge is for focus.
And I'm going to add one more thing, because both of us are in that people development field, and executive coaching, leadership coaching is a big part of what I do. So my focus is my radical listening strength. It helps me to zoom in when it's time I'm sitting one-on-one with someone, whether it's video or in person, or if I'm doing a group facilitation, then I'm able to just be so present in the moment, even though I've got all kinds of fires going on, in my life or business or family. And so learning how to compartmentalize that, kind of block it out for a period of time until, okay, now I'm finished with this. Now I can go take care of the fires.
I would agree with that. There's a bit of it that's about your attention to something that you're able to, I mean, when you think of the word, they're focused, they're, not paying attention. There truly is a piece of that's, you're all zoned in. And it's funny because others might think, okay, well, you're still in work land, or you're still, if you haven't shifted that attention elsewhere. But I think in that generic sense of how we think of focusing, I think there's a piece of that to it that you can just truly hone in. I'm encouraged to hear you speak about it, because I think something I have struggled with is saying no to things and prioritizing. And to hear you've gotten so clear on your goals and what you want in life. And I think it's something that I've just kind of seen myself slowly get better at through the years, but I still feel like I need to improve that some. And so I'm actually encouraged hearing you speak about it. And I'm thinking, okay, how can I further lean into that focus to just create a little more clarity? Maybe it's just the toddler season of life, though.
And I will say, well, first of all, I still do not think I am like world-class productive. Think that I'm world-class with my focus, because there are seasons, and I'm actually going through one of those seasons now, because I'm at a later stage of business. So I'm really looking at succession and legacy and things like that. And so I'm trying to get clearer on even what does this stage and phase look like. And I hadn't figured it out. I'm like still trying to like seek and, figure it out. So be encouraged that there's never going to be a time we're going to totally figure it out and be totally focused. However, with your determination, you will find a way.
I'm curious for both of you. One of the early readings in some of the StrengthsFinder books and different anecdotes out there is that this particular strength can have a profound memory. It can remember things that it wants. Some have even commented that it could have photographic memory of areas that it wants. And I'm curious for the two of you, as you think about your life, career, Brent, you mentioned that the people influencing strengths and the, relationship building call you to people. And I just wonder, because I've known this about you, how you remember facts and data about people profoundly, like nuanced information that you recall. And I've noticed that in Kristen, having worked with you, the way that how you can organize facts or things that you've done or ways that you attend a process, things that happen, the last time we met with so-and-so, they said this. And I'm looking at you going, how in the world do you remember that from that meeting till today? So curious if you both have noticed that, lean into that, or how that works with someone with high focus.
It's fascinating you say that, because my family jokes that I have a great memory, and I've noticed that I think it can tend to be better than others, and like you said, it's just like little random things. And I think it might go along with a lot of that individualization, right? Brent, I don't know if you thought that too, but I had never attributed it to focus, but I think it absolutely could be. Some of that presence in the moment, that attentiveness to what was at hand at the time. And I'm curious, Brent, what you have to think.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that have a great memory. I have had my clients tell me sometimes, wow, how did you remember I shared that? And I guess one thing is focus and individualization together are a superpower. I think with this right here, with remembering some details. But for me, it's not all of the details. It's the core. So, it's interesting. Like, we'll go to church and listen to a sermon, and, I'll ask a friend or ask a family member, hey, what was the core message you got out of that? And they're like, well, I can't remember. And my brain like remembers the 3-point message. I'm not good at like little details, but like more at the outline or the core, or if I read a book, it's the core message sticks with me. But I will say that focus does help people go deep. It's like a microscope. And so, whatever area you want to be world-class in, and you start reading, learning, getting knowledge, practice, and skills in that area, then that's part of the power of focus. And so that depth really gets there. It's kind of like maybe a cousin. I don't know, Brandon, you tell me. Maximizer, even though it's 34 for me, that. Focus likes depth. It maybe not quality, but maybe it's depth.
Coaches and service-based business builders want to 10x your impact and income? Join the Strengthspreneur Mastermind, led by Brent O'Bannon, MCC, author of the Strengthspreneur 10x Workbook, and the world's first Gallup-certified strengths coach. This powerhouse group gives you personalized coaching, peer support, and proven tools to launch and scale your unique strengths. We meet 2 times a month. Come sharpen your strategy, boost confidence, and grow smarter, not harder. Visit podcast.34strong.com to thrive as a strengthspreneur. Again, visit podcast.34strong.com. Join Brent O'Bannon and thrive as a strengthspreneur. Yeah, I'd have to think about how those two, right? Because I've always been a follower of focus in that when I'm around it and I'm engaged by it, it's so curious to me because it does, in my opinion, sit as one of the strength superpowers, like the strength of focus, because the most valuable commodity on earth is human attention. And focus has this ability to truly, authentically engage their attention. When you said, Brent, radical listening strength, if you think about the way that we as humans receive value from each other, it's when we're listened to. You hear me, you hear my heart, you hear what I'm saying through what I'm not saying, through my body language. And focus gives that gift. It gives to people what it is that others don't. So I've always been so envious is the wrong word, because I just admire it. I've always admired this strength and those who carry it, because I look at them and go, now you bring a level of excellence. And that's probably where we're going to cross, Brent, is focus does want to be excellent. And that's where my maximizer does go. It does want that, but you're being an activator maximizer. I am the opposite of attention. So I am the definition of the squirrel chaser. So I think that's why I'm always so enamored by the focus people. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you like lock in on people without needing to touch and look at so many other things? So it does beg a question though. And I'd love for you both to answer this as we're landing the plane. How can this strength be misunderstood? How can it be misunderstood by those that, it's not common. It's according to recent research, one of the rare strengths to show up in the top 5. It's one of the 5 rarest. In fact, it's 4th, which I didn't know until recent. And so that's fascinating that it is that uncommon. So help us understand how it might be misunderstood and how our listeners can maybe grow in their appreciation for this strength.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. I think number one is tunnel vision. Is like, oh, he's a fuddy-dud. He doesn't know how to play, or he doesn't know how to let loose or have fun. And that's not true. I can be pretty wild and crazy when I put that hat on, when I focus on it. I would say sometimes being too direct in communication. Yeah, that's, of course, I have command with that. So I have to, there's a part of my focus that can appear unsentimental, like you're not, and so people don't get to know my heart. And so I think I could get misunderstood because people aren't spending enough time. Maybe I haven't invited them, and I don't invite everybody. I do choose a certain amount of people. My woo goes wide, but my relator says, who is that inner circle? Because I know there's not enough of me to go to everybody in every situation, every organization. I have to choose. And that can change from season to season. Like I'm in a different season now. Like I want and need to go out and connect more with people because I work so much, on Zoom. And so, but that's a misunderstanding. I think a lot of people may not know about my focus.
Thank you. How about you?
I think for me, it's patience. So I don't have patience for the distractions, or we're sitting in a meeting and we haven't gotten into the agenda, or I'm co-presenting with someone and we agreed on a certain time frame and it goes off script. Now you might be hearing some of my other executing talents in here, but right, if focus is there to stick to what we know we need to stick to, when things just go all over the place, it can be really frustrating. I get impatient, and sometimes it leads me to disengage or say, I'm just going to do it on my own because
I'm over here wondering how you handled that in government.
Right.
I'm like,
I did.
Talk about one of the least straight line places in the world.
I chose not to run for re-election. My campaign, it was so focused, and then you get in there and policy making it is all over the place. It's not quick. It's not focused. It's a lot harder. So yeah, a little bit.
That would be an example of testing your focus then in a place like that.
Right.
Yeah. I hear from both of you. So would it be fair to say focus does enjoy autonomy? It does enjoy elements it can control because you have such a fierce ability to lock in without any external motivators. You have that self-drive. I think of the Kobe Bryant mentality, just that ability to lock in on, I know what I'm aiming at. I'm going to edit everything that doesn't belong. To go back to tennis, right? I'm going to edit out, because of my faith and my goal for this. I'm going to edit all these things out because I know what I'm aiming at. And that really seems to be a gift that you bring to those in your life and to our world, is that's what you provide with your focus strength. Is there some truth to that?
Especially in coaching, because when, my clients come to me, they have so many possibilities going on and so many areas they're passionate about and gifted in. And so helping them to prioritize is, I'd say, one of the ways I give that gift back in helping other people.
That's good. Cut through the clutter.
Yeah. And like you said, the economy thing, I would say sometimes I might tell a story too short and not give enough details because I want to be punchy or concise. And I've even had coaches, like public speaking coaches, say, no, in this setting, I want you to tell more detail about a story. So I'm learning new nuances around that.
That's interesting. I would also describe my individual coaching style. I say I help people find clarity. That's been something that I think I'm good at. And it could be a lot of the focus is just helping them weed through like, well, what are they really saying? What's really going on? What do they really want? How do we get there?
So I want to go ahead and tell our listeners that they have been treated today to two amazing experts who both have leveraged this strength for success in your respective areas. And now I'd love for them to hear how to find you and what you're up to. So Kristen, if you'd like to go first and just tell everyone what you're up to, where they can find you, and whether they want to do jazzercise, buy some vintage or amazing new clothes, or coaching, or how to build a team. Where can they find you, Kristen?
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, check me out on LinkedIn, Kristen O'Shea. And yeah, so I would say my main love is the O'Shea Strengths Coaching, with just working with teams, organizations, individuals to show up and be their best every day. We spend way too much time at work to be miserable in our jobs, and we got to use those talents. So that's what I really enjoy with teams. And then I have a consignment retail boutique in Topeka. So I've really enjoyed working both in business and on businesses, and that gives me a chance to do a little bit of the on business side and then teaching jazzercise.
Very cool. Thank you, Kristen. So I imagine you have other social sites. Do you do Instagram too, or other places where people can find you?
O'Shea Strengths is mainly LinkedIn.
Okay.
Prairie Trading Company is the Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The other one's going to be probably Instagram. What was that one called?
Prairie Trading Co.
Prairie Trading Co. So for all of you listening that, you might want to check out what she's got going. Thank you, Kristen.
Some shopping.
Yeah,
Thanks.
there you go. Brent.
Yeah, so the name of my business is called Strengths Champion Solutions, and you can look me up at brentobannon.com, or you can look at strengthschampion.com. So both of those websites come together. And really what I'm after at this stage of life and business is I feel called to champion strengths worldwide and to inspire human flourishing. And so that's for leaders, teams, organizations, and I would say bold entrepreneurs as well. And yeah, it's just a joy helping people to become the best version of themselves as leaders and teams and organizations.
Thank you, Brent. All right, you two, you were amazing today. Thank you so much. This was such a great episode. And listeners, again, please do share this with someone that you think might want to learn more about the strength, get in on the coach to coach action, be able to grow and learn with us. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor, and we'll see you next time on Coach to Coach.
That's a wrap on this episode of Coach to Coach. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're a strengths coach looking to dive deeper, join the Coach Strong community. It's where coaches like you come together to share insights, support one another, and discover partnership opportunities. Be part of the conversations that are elevating our industry. Email community@34strong.com to join today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Coach to Coach. Stay strong.